So hey guys, let's talk about Stadia. I've had Stadia now for almost 2 years. I bought the controller for about $160 Canadian, and I've had the service ongoing since launch. And I've seen the development of the service go from the beginning. When I first got the controller, there was a bit of lag in some of the games, and there was a small collection of games, as to be expected with a new service and a new launch. So that has certainly changed over the course of the last 2 years almost. There are more games, there are more up-to-date games, and there are a lot of free games if you pay for the Stadia Pro subscription, which here in Canada is about $11.99 a month. And it's a great value for $11.99 a month because you do get a lot of great games for that price. And when you add up what you pay for a year, it's really the cost of one game or two games, and you have access to all these games. Now the thing with a streaming service is that it's also dependent on what internet you have at home. So if you have a really good internet connection like I have here, then the service will work great and you shouldn't see any lag or any noticeable difference between playing the streaming game and a game on a dedicated console. Now there have been times that I forgot all about the streaming aspect of the service and I thought I was playing just a normal console game as I would on my Xbox, and it was beyond my realm of scope of belief of whatever you want to call it, that you can have a streaming service that equals a console gaming, dedicated console gaming service or console. And it's something that blew my mind once I started really getting into the Stadia collection of games. Now, you don't have the latest games as you do with some of the dedicated platforms for gaming as Xbox and PlayStation, but they're slowly ramping up and adding new games and up-to-date games. At first we had some games that had been out on PC or consoles for a while, and they were just converted over to the Stadia service, and that was what they launched with. But now you're starting to see newer games, and for an example, Cyberpunk 2077 was a game that had some difficulties on some of the consoles, but people who had the Stadia actually were playing that game with no issues, and people signed up for Stadia because of that game. So that's how good the service became over the last 2 years. Now, here in Canada, it's very difficult to get a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X. So for some of us, we're stuck in the middle ground where we're still playing the last generation of console. And this is sort of the middle ground where while we wait for these other consoles, you have the Stadia service available and at an affordable price. Now, the thing that I don't like, there's a couple things actually I wanted to get into because there's some aspects of digital gaming in general that I don't like. For an example, I like to have physical games, and the reason being is that sometimes you get bored of the games or you end up deciding that you want to trade it in for another game or sell them, and there's some value to an actual physical product that you can sell to someone else. When it comes to digital-only services, such as Stadia or some of the consoles that are now just digital and you don't have any hard media that you can sell to other people, is that you're kind of stuck once you buy that game. If you decide that you don't like it, you can't really sell that game, you can't get your money back, so you're out whatever money you paid for that game. And going back just a few months ago, I found an old box at my mom's house of some older games that I had from the 90s, and these games ended up bringing back $1,000 to me. I sold them online on eBay, and those games had gone up in value because I still had the stickers with the prices on the games. And it's funny that some of those games went for double what I had paid for them originally. So they ended up making me some money all these years later, and that's something that you can't do with these digital services. So if you have a gaming console and you can't sell your games and you can't trade them in for new games, then it's sort of limiting as far as the number of games that you might be able to play. So anyways, that's my little rant about the difference between the digital gaming world and having physical copies of your games. But we're discussing Stadia, and after having the service for almost 2 years, I'd say that it's definitely worth you picking one up if you have a good internet connection. So I did get the controller, the official Stadia controller, but you can use Bluetooth connected Xbox or PS4 controller with your PC, which would make it a little bit cheaper for you if you just go that route and sign up for the service and don't buy the controller. But overall, I'd say that I still want to get one of the new generation consoles. I still have that gaming in me, that gamer in me that likes to have physical media and a collection. So I will look into that when we're able to get some here in Canada. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying the gaming on the Stadia, and I think that it was a well thought out service. It took a bit to get to the point where it's at now, but it works. And that's the most important thing when it comes down to video games, is that you don't want to have any lag. You want to be able to control your character on screen and make sure that there's no little glitches that make you not be able to get that kill or be able to drive your car. You want to be able to move as you would with a real console, and it's happening and it's working. And I think that if you guys have tried out Stadia, you'd be surprised how well it's done. That maybe if your friend put it up on the screen and you didn't know that you were playing a streaming service, you'd actually fall for it thinking that you're playing it off the console. So I hope that this gives you a little insight on where Stadia is going for the next little while. I was a little bit scared that they were going to cancel their service when I heard that they closed down their development studio, but they didn't, and we seem to be on a path where they're constantly adding more games to the collection and newer games. So it seems like it's promising for now, and I think that it's worth trying. If you don't already have a Stadia controller, then certainly you can get one or just use your controller from your Xbox or PS4 connected to the computer, and you should be good to go. So let me know what you think about Stadia. I'm going to go back and have a little bit of gaming on mine. So I'll talk to you guys next time.